Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Up the Guts podcast. Joining as always is your host, Trent Dialton, and it is the preview episode where we preview all the action coming up in the round of footy. It's round 23 coming up now, and this is where I'll give you all my previews, my tips, my predictions as well. So without further ado, let's kick off with the first game in round 23. Let's go. Now, to start off with, in the first game of this round, something already sparks my interest, my eyes, and leaves me a bit bemused, a bit annoyed. Thursday night footy. Now, what are we saying? No Thursday night footy after we have done it all year, and instead we go over double header on Friday night. What? That just does not make sense to me since we've done it all season. And as well, we are going straight back to Thursday night footy next week. So it just doesn't make any sense to me why we would do it. But the first game we have got at Marvel Stadium on Friday night. So this will kick off at 7:20 p.m. and it is the Bombers v. the Saints. Now, we know Ross Lyon came out on Footy Classified and really fired back at all reports after the reports of Callum Wilkie being unsettled and possibly wanting a trade. We already know about Nasai Wanganeen-Malira. We know about Nasai Wanganeen-Malira. We know Rowan Marshall when TDK comes, Rowan Marshall isn't prepared to play as a second ruck. And the big, strong suit for him at the moment is Geelong, which I think would be the perfect fit because I think for years Geelong have been looking for a number one ruck. Reece Stanley just isn't up to it to be a number one ruck. And Mark Blicavs is solid, but he's the type of chess piece you want to be able to throw around anywhere because he's the Mr. Fix-It. And with them not playing Reece Stanley, they've had to go with playing Blicavs as a number one ruck, and it just doesn't suit that. They'd rather have him as that person where they can pluck. He's an All-Australian key back. He can play in the midfield as well, play up forward, play on the wing, you name it. For his size, he's such an incredible runner. So we know about all that, and Ross Lyon's come out and said that is all rubbish and just knock back all complaints, as you would imagine the coach would do, but he was pretty fiery about it on it. And I think, look at this. We know the Bombers how to play. They have injuries. We've said it all year round. But the Saints, they're hard to read. And especially after this week, I think they'll want to come out and make a statement, though. So I think I'm going to be going with the Saints on this one. And I'm obviously going to have to pick a margin. So I'm just going to go by 20 points. I'm not confident that they will get this done convincingly. But I think that will be too good, especially being at Marvel. We know what they can do under the lid. And the other Friday night game, which I'm more intrigued to, and I think most viewers will be, 8:35 p.m. Optus Stadium. It is the 4th place Fremantle versus the 5th place Brisbane Lions. Now, the Brisbane Lions had a shock defeat last week to the Sydney Swans at their home ground, the Gabba. And now they fly up to Perth to face the Dockers, which is one of the hardest tasks going around in footy at the moment. And Freo have won the last, I think I heard it was the last 11 games out of 12. Last 11 games out of 12. We heard Nat Fyfe to be retiring at the end of the season. It looks like they'll possibly be using him as the sub for most of the rest of the season. We've Hayden Young down. It'll be interesting to see what happens when he comes back. But I think Freo are just on a high rise at the moment, and Luke Jackson's had a phenomenal season. Shea Bolton playing that forward role is electric. Michael Friedrich is one who's also had a really good year. Then through that midfield, Sarong and Brayshaw, the two there, elite. And Jordan Clark's had an exceptional year as well. By all means, I think Brisbane could get it done, but purely being at Optus Stadium, I think Fremantle get this one done. Then we move over to Saturday, 12:35 p.m. at People First Stadium. It's the two expansion teams. It's the Expansion Cup. It's the Gold Coast Suns v. the GWS Giants. It's 6 v 8. So both in the top 8. Now, if we look at the ladder right now, GWS are only, they're both on 56 points. Gold Coast with a game up their sleeve, but they're only a game ahead of 9th place Western Bulldogs which we will touch on Bulldogs later. Should get the win. So I think it's a must win for both teams. By all means, Gold Coast still have that game up their sleeve, but there's something about these Suns that are just coming, and purely being at people first, I think they get this one done. Then 1:20 p.m. at Marvel Stadium. Bit of a downer game, this one, but it's Carlton v Port Adelaide at Marvel Stadium. Now, what's the word I would say? Carlton obviously been a very disappointing team this season. Most teams would have expected him. I predicted them to be in the top 8 as well, and I had Hawks out of my 8. I originally had Hawks in and Carlton out, but I flipped it last second after some persuasion. Thanks for that one, Connor. But and I'm living to regret that one, that is for sure. But yeah, they've had a really disappointing season. By all means, Port Adelaide, not much better. Let's be real, not much better. Other than Zach Butters really carrying that load through the middle, Rosie if he plays forward or mid. I think Mitch Georgiades had a solid season though, and Jackson Horn-Francis going down is not ideal. I'm actually going to be going with the Blues for this one to get this one done over in Melbourne. I just think they need a lift somehow. They need a response. I think this is a game where Cripps just goes bananas and takes the team on the back and really takes control of the game. 4:15 p.m. at the MCG. It's Hawthorn v Melbourne. Now, Hawthorn are on fire at the moment. Melbourne put up a really, really good performance last week in the game of the round against the Bulldogs, only going down by the 1 goal. Back and forth. Cossie Pickett, after signing that contract, he has lived up to the contract. In my opinion, I think he's worth every cent now. I was questioning it at first, but since they've played him as a midfielder or that forward mid-role, he's been exceptional. He's been electric. But there's been questions about their leaders, and in particular, Christian Petrarca's body language out on the ground. The body language he showed after Harvey Langford didn't give him that ball. And then after they got a goal, he didn't even go up and congratulate the person who kicked the goal, and he didn't even go up and say apologise to Langford after after he set up that goal. So I think his body language as a leader of that club needs to improve. If he's all in there, he needs to improve that body language. And I think the new coach who steps in needs to make a stand on that, on some of their key players there. As for the game itself, Hawthorn are on fire. I thought John Newcombe was, after an up and down year this year, safe to say, I thought he was exceptional last week. Through that middle of the ground. Dylan Moore's really finding some good form as well. So I'm going to be going with the Hawks over Melbourne. Then Saturday night, Adelaide Oval. It's the Crows v the Pies. Now the Crows, pardon me, we'll have a drink there to reassess. The Pies have had a very, very poor month. It's without saying that. And the Crows are the hot team on top of the ladder. I've had people tell me that they think Collingwood could respond and get this win over, but I am so nervous with the likes of Rankin, Dawson, Ben Keys is such a threat, and their back half of Worrell, Michelini was playing, Mark Keane. It's just so good. Jake Slugo's finding some really good form too. Riley Thilp, their forward line of Thilthorpe, Fogarty, who's been a bit lately, but Thilthorpe continues his form, and Walker. Daniel Curtin since being moved to the wing, I think is one of the better moves of this season by Matthew Nicks. And it's not often I do this, but I'm going to be tipping against my own team, and I'm going to be going with the Crows. Then we head over to Sunday, and we head over to Tasmania, Bloodstone Arena. Blockbuster game this, but it is a must-win game, this one, if we have a look. It's North Melbourne v Richmond, and Richmond are only a half a game ahead of North Melbourne on the ladder, with North Melbourne having that draw against Brisbane earlier in the season. So if North Melbourne can win this, they can jump them on top of jump them on the ladder. By all means, only to 16th, but it just spaces out who gets what draft pick in the end. But I think North Melbourne are going to want to come and make a statement. Richmond, we've said it multiple times, have been really impressive this season. But I think it's time North Melbourne make a statement over in Tassie and get this job done by 6 goals. So I'm going to be backing the Kangaroos in on this one. In the penultimate game of the round at the SCG, it's the team that is going to, we mentioned, is going to ruin teams' seasons or finals chances and really damaged them late in the season. It's the Sydney Swans v Geelong. Now, great win, Swans last week. Not at home, mind you, at the Gabba against the Brisbane Lions. So that was super duper impressive. But they come up against a Cats who have the midfield of Smith and Max Holmes, the fast running, the running carry down there, and Jeremy Cameron up forward, Tyson Stengel up forward. I think Ollie Dempsey off that wing. He had a little bit of a quiet patch for a couple of weeks, but it back to a bit of form last week. I think he's been exceptional. And Tyson Stengel, don't know if I mentioned there, but I think one player who's also gone under the radar is Sean Manor. I think he's been exceptional. The fact he can go through the midfield, he consistently hits the scoreboard, but his tackling and forward pressure is absolutely phenomenal. Mature age recruit, picked up from Werribee in the VFL. I think he's been such a great asset to add to that Geelong midfield and forward line. And the other one is Brian Myers. Now, there was an article written that when Brian Myers first came on the scene, he was just a okay player. He was probably on the glimpse of Geelong saying, we're moving past you. But he studied golf and NFL to improve his kicking, and now he does not miss a kick. He was started off as that high half forward, and he was the person you want the ball in the hands in because he could pick his awkward kicking action. He could pick kicks out of nowhere, pick pockets that not many people would think. And now, the last few weeks, he's actually been running through the midfield and providing that class and X factor through the midfield. It's by all means, it's not pretty all the time coming off the boot, but once it hits it, you go, oh wow. So him going in the midfield, I think, has been a really good move as well because that centre forward role is so important with the link up to players, so he can link up to the likes of Jeremy Cameron and Shannon Neal, who's been really good as of late as well. 3 goals in the first quarter last week. I'm going to be going with the Cats on this one. I just think they get this done and bring some momentum going into finals. I think they can be a real threat. And the last game of the round at Marvel Stadium, as I said, it's Western Bulldogs v West Coast at 4:40 p.m. As I said, I thought it's a must-win game for Jerry West and Gold Coast. They're both on 56 and Western Bulldogs is on 52. Why I say this is a must-win is because Western Bulldogs just get this done. So they get this done and their percentage is 135.4. So if the Bulldogs were to win this and Jerry West Giants were to lose, as I have tipped, by percentage, they would jump to 8th. Mind you, well, if the ladder was now, they would actually jump to 6 because they have 135.4 percentage. Jerry West on 56 have 114.1. The Hawks have 121.2. And the Gold Coast Suns have 125.1. The Bulldogs actually have, if we look at it, the third best percentage out of any team on the ladder. So when they win this game, I think they will overtake. They will jump into the 8 and they'll jump a couple of spots around that 6 mark. So I think they could become a real threat coming in. They've had a really good back end of the year. Aaron Norton's resurrection after a really, really poor first half of the year. It's been phenomenal. Kicked over 50 goals for the season now. And it's just invented his season really as a real threat who can kick bags of goals and take marks. And Sam Darcy, I was going to say not enough is said, but so much is said about Sam Darcy, but his impact cannot go undervalued. And Ed Richards through that midfield, it's just the class he provides. Consistently hits the scoreboard, but his ball use through the midfield under pressure is so smooth and consistently hit targets. So I think the Bulldogs get this one done and shoot themselves into the 8 by the end of this round. Well, there you have it, guys. I'm going to click submit tips right now so we don't forget, and then we'll quickly go over who I went. So Friday night, I'm going with the St Kilda by 20 points, first game there. Then I'm going with Freo at Optus over Brisbane. Saturday in the Expansion Cup, I'm going with the Gold Coast Suns. 1:20 p.m. at Marvel Stadium, I'm going with the Blues over Port Adelaide. Then 4:15 p.m. at the MCG, Hawthorn over Melbourne. Adelaide Oval, Saturday night, standalone game. I'm going with the Crows at home over the Pies, and will be some big questions happening after that if that unfolds. 1:10 p.m. at Bloodstone Arena down there in Tassie. I've gone with North over Richmond. SCG, I'm going with the Cats over Sydney. And the last game round, Bulldogs over West Coast at Marvel Stadium. Well, there you have it, guys. There is my preview, tips and predictions ahead of the round 23 action of the footy. Thank you guys for listening. If you have enjoyed this episode and you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to leave a like and comment on this video. Hit that subscribe button and turn the notification bell so you are notified whenever we upload. If you're listening to this via Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure to leave a like and comment on this video. Hit that follow button in the top corner. Turn the notification bell on so you don't miss whenever we upload. And most importantly, guys, please leave a 5-star rating if you have enjoyed this episode, and send it off to a mate who you think might enjoy it, because that does help push the show out there as well. Thank you guys for listening. Until next time, I'll see you guys then.